From Lewis in the Black Horse Pub. And here she is after another week's meticulous research with the alternative view, Liza Page.
Oh, don't the weeks go by quickly, Keith? They just seem to vanish. Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to us. Well, now, what do you think?
Well, it's been a week of turmoil all the way around for all sorts of reasons.
I think we're all giddy, aren't we?
We are, backwards and forwards. And, of course, the headline this morning in the paper is that after the 80,000 or so pro-Palestinian groups with some violence, is that apparently over 100,000 managed to march yesterday without any violence. So that's something, I suppose. Yeah. But what's your take on it?
Well, I saw yesterday that the Jewish people are marching here in our country. What are they marching for, though, exactly?
Well, I think in defense of the fact that they've taken a battering in the popularity polls this last week.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. They were saying it's so dangerous here, we're thinking of leaving. But where exactly would they go? I think I wouldn't know where to go.
No.
I mean, where in the world?
How many times did we say when we were young, "I'm leaving home"?
Yes.
And when we got outside the front door, we went back very quickly.
It was a little bit cold, wasn't it? Well, I'll leave tomorrow. Yes, that's a bit of a sweeping statement, I think. I was very happy to see that Netanyahu, under duress, arranged to have some of the prisoners released, the hostages, in exchange for what he's hoarding. Because hostages are very valuable currency, aren't they, Keith?
Yes, indeed they are.
Incredibly valuable currency. I was very happy to see the incredible march that the Israeli people put on to make him do that. But I was somewhat disappointed that when they had him there, that they didn't arrest him.
Now you would be treading on very dangerous ground. Yeah. I'm going to step out for a moment, if I may, because when I left Kosovo, I was being driven out to the airport, and there was a whole traffic jam and thousands of people and so on. And I said to my driver, "What the hell's happening?" And they said, "Well, General Cheku is arriving back, and he has been spent a few days in a Hungarian prison."
Yeah.
And there's an international. The Serbs had put out an international warrant for him, and the Hungarians, because he'd been on their soil, felt duty bound to serve this warrant. So I said, because he happened to be a friend of mine, and I said, "Well, I'd love to see if you can arrange," because we knew his protocol officer. See if you can try for me just to say a quick goodbye. I was put in second to the United Nations commander in the receiving line, and I received his General Cheku back, and when he saw me, we embraced, and immediately my phone went wild. "What are you doing embracing our general?" Absolutely wonderful. But it just showed the difference in views with international warrants being waved all over the place. I am very, very suspicious of just serving warrants, to be quite honest with you. So I actually would make sure that any attempt to arrest Netanyahu, no matter how naughty and nasty he may have been, is that due process of law takes place. Because I think the moment that we actually...
What exactly does that word mean? Due process?
Yeah. I mean, is one of the things that I would perhaps argue with you very forcibly is every country must live by the rule of law. If you don't live by the rule of law, then you've got nothing. You've got anarchy and chaos.
Yes.
So even if you don't agree with it, you may not agree with the Chinese, but if somebody steps out of line in China and they are breaking their rule of law, and we must respect it until we can change it in some legal and sensible way.
Yes, that's
so
why
although this and a lot of the things you've uncovered have uncovered a lot of unsavory things about Netanyahu, he is still the prime minister of that country, and still we are, in my opinion, subject to rule of law.
Yes, of course. Yeah. But regarding Chinese law, I wouldn't go there.
No, I don't think many of us would. And in fact, it is where rule of law exists in some countries, you wouldn't go there anyway, because rule of law is different in every country.
And you can go there and not know the law.
Yeah. But what you've got to be very careful about is tampering in somebody else's country overtly. Yeah. We all tamper subvertly.
Yes,
including the good old Brits.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Listen, we are not blameless in any way.
But I accept your argument. It's fine. Carry on.
Yes. I was very disappointed that that's all they did, because they're still under his control, and I think I'd really be guessing. I think there may be a 10% chance that he will have a ceasefire permanently, but only 10%. I think he will have to go back in because he's under orders. Yeah. There was... It
may be that the present situation, you're quite right, and savoury situation, has to wait until they have an election. And I think they're halfway through their term, aren't they?
Poor people. Got to wait all that time. Oh, it's terrible. It's dreadful. And this guy, I mean, he has set back Israel so much. I mean, the people don't follow the politics. They don't know the situation and all that, but it's set them back. I don't think they're ever going to recover from it, quite frankly.
Well, maybe not. Maybe you're right. Yeah.
Because I still have friends there. I have a very dear friend here, has family back there, and I'm petrified for them, because I think somebody might want to wipe them out. I've got a thing here from Colonel Douglas McGregor, who is very powerful at the moment on the internet. Colonel Douglas McGregor, American.
Right.
He's American colonel, and he seems to know his stuff.
Right.
Colonel Douglas McGregor warns we are watching Armageddon unfolding before our eyes. The Israelis don't want to talk peace. They are fighting with emotion, not with intelligence. Israel wants to put chemical weapons into the tunnels. The Hamas tunnels are enormous. Israel is not equipped to handle this. Hamas is leading Israel into a trap. There's not massive support for Israel now. This could be the total destruction of Israel.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't sound awfully good, does it?
No.
It's
Did he say this before or after Sunday?
Before.
Yeah. It would be very interesting, Liza. In fact, I think you should put through a call to Washington to him and say, "Do you still have the same view now that you've seen that march?" I mean, I don't know. I'm totally neutral.
What a good idea. Do you think he'd talk to me?
Yes, I do think so. I mean, you point out that you're a journalist.
Yes.
That you follow this every week. You have a specific program, and
Yeah.
that you would like his view, post.
I can't wait to get home.
In fact, I think that it would behoove you to do perhaps a good 20-minute interview with him and range over, because he obviously does know what he's talking about.
Yes.
And it would be good to get the view of somebody like that.
Yes, that would, if I can get him, that would be fantastic, and I'd keep him on the phone as long as I possibly could. He wouldn't get away, I promise you. Yes, but he has impressed me with the stuff that I've been watching over the course of a month. Yes, we have Crispin Blunt, MP.
Yes.
The Crispin. Crispin threatens to prosecute UK government over Israeli war crimes, accusing the government of war crimes because international law says Israel is in the wrong.
Now, when you say international law, is this Crispin Blunt's interpretation of international?
Yes, that's his interpretation.
Right.
I haven't heard of him before, but I don't know if it was you or someone else told me they were trying to blacken his character by some occurrence years ago. I hope they don't do that towards him. It's so easy to turn people off, isn't it? With adverse publicity. Not good at all. Now, I'm not going to leave the Israeli thing alone because it's still.
Oh no, it's very much in the and I mean,
because it's affecting us all, isn't it?
You have the alternative view, and it's perfectly legitimate. I was just pointing one or two things out that I would see it as a fellow journalist. That's all.
Yeah. Well, I did say this before, but I'm going to say it again for people who have missed it. Netanyahu was warned 3 times that there was going to be attacks on his country. And he chose to ignore these warnings because he was preoccupied. Well, now the military would have been informed, wouldn't they, Keith? People, surely.
Yeah. Well, you made the point, and legitimately made the point, is that a cockroach can't get across that border without being noticed.
It really cannot, because Israel, is noted for being the most protected country in the entire world.
Right.
That's where it gets its reputation for being a force to be reckoned with. If a cockroach jumps over that wall, they know about it.
Yeah.
They do. They cannot know about it, and alarms would go off all over the place. This is no exaggeration at all. Now then, there was a lady on there, Israeli lady, who was in the military, and she said I was a guard, in the military for the wall. And she said it's 2 shifts, a night shift and a day shift. It's continually watched. And she said we sit there with all the cameras around, the earphones on. She said nothing can possibly escape us. Absolutely nothing. And she said how these people got in without them being let in is a total impossibility. And she's not the only one that is coming forward with this kind of information straight out of Israel. Why he's done this, I will never know. But there's so many, many loose ends here, Keith, because I keep on about this. This rave that they invaded, I hate the word rave. I've said it once, I say it again. It was people enjoying themselves to music, dancing, and probably went on all night too, They called them raves. Blah, blah, blah. I'm old-fashioned. I called it a rather nice get-together. Totally harmless.
Yeah, they were partying, weren't they?
Yes. Anyway, this get-together was organized at a certain venue. And 3 days before, the lot came in, they changed the venue to somewhere much, much closer to the wall. So almost they came through the wall and there was the rave.
Right.
They virtually didn't have to go looking
It's very
for them.
peculiar, I have to confess.
Isn't that very, very strange?
Sounds more than coincidence, doesn't it?
Yes. And as far as I can tell, look, you know, I don't know everything, do I? I do a lot of research, but a lot gets by me. These whistleblowers, no one has mentioned that yet. There's been speculation that the military was not alerted because they were paid not to be alerted. All this could be hearsay, you know, I don't know. But this is the scuttlebutt.
There are rumours that are circulating.
Yes.
Therefore, they're legitimate currency, yes.
That's it. Rumours circulating about all sorts of things. Now then, he chose to, Netanyahu obviously chose to let these people come in and slaughter his own people. They know this. Because it's an insult to the intelligence now. Say, oh, no, he did the right thing. No. But that hasn't come up, you see. Now, the first thing I would have thought with the Israelis would be, and a lot of them are marching and are totally against this. I would say 50% of the country is against this war and what he's done. But nobody has mentioned these points. And his excuse is, I will explain this when the war ends. Now then, they said that with the, when was it, Pearl Harbor, Keith? Mm-hmm. That was the excuse then. We'll explain this, why we let it go, why we knew they were coming in. Well, we know it was to rile up the American people, to get them angry enough to go to war. This seems obvious to me that he's let these people in because he wants then Israel to be terribly angry at the Palestinians. It gives him an excuse to go in there and do these dreadful things that he's doing. I came across a thing that I was very, very excited about. And this is the good old saying, Keith, there's oil in them there hills. I think so. Over 10 years ago, masses of oil and gas on the Gaza Strip was found. And the British went in. I think they went in with somebody else, the Israelis, and dug down to see what was there. And they said there was just masses of it. I think even British gas went into masses of it at all. At that particular time, I think Israel went in for another of their wars, at about that time. And when that war ended, they called a truce. One of the conditions was that Gaza would give Israel all of the oil. And also, they had to stipulate that Israel was, what do they call it? A country or whatever?
A nation.
And it was a nation, and they were totally entitled to be the chosen people, and this was their land. Well, Palestine said, no, you're joking. And they wouldn't give it to them. Well, they came out anyway because they had to. And I was terribly excited about this, but it hasn't been mentioned since I got that information. It's been a total squash, which to me answers everything, absolutely everything. Now then, they're taking Tony Blair in and Cameron to appreciate the situation there and try and do something about the people, the Palestinian people, the Gazan people that will be left, and they've slaughtered most of them. I don't think there's going to be too many left because he said that's what he was going to do. So they've sent money naturally, the sniff of a gig, as we say. Yes, we'll have some of that. We'll be in that. Yes, Tony and I. Yes, here we come. So they've got themselves nice little jobs. But Tony Blair already had an office in Gaza for well over 6 years. And also one in Israel. So this whole thing's been planned for a long time, Keith. And something like this would have to be. I don't think Netanyahu is working for the cult, which of course he is. And, Biden and Trump, as soon as they smell oil too, well, we've got to be on their side, haven't we? Oh, yes, got to have some of that. You can't have that all on your own, mate. So that's why they've been blowing in for Israel all the time. But now countries have put an awful lot of restriction on Israel's restrictions, and it's mounting. Seems to be mounting by the day. Now then, Turkey has entered the equation and is threatening to annihilate Israel, like, these other countries. And I'm very, very worried for Israel because I think this Netanyahu has thrown his country and his people under a bus. I really do. And I don't think that this is going to be forgotten for many, many years, what's happened here. And, as I say, I have friends there.
Yeah.
I have friends there, and they might just go in and obliterate the place.
Liza, what you're reading with all the research that you're doing is the people in charge of Hamas are no fools. They've been terrorists for quite a number of years, and they've got this network and so on. What was their motivation for actually triggering all this by going, almost accepting, as you say, the invitation to go across the line into Israel?
Well, according to a lot of research from Israel and out of Israel, Israel and America have been paying Hamas for quite a long time now.
Paying them to
cause havoc. And they obviously paid them to come in and set the scene up in Israel.
I see. So in other words, Hamas did it for money.
Yes,
right.
yes, indeed. Yes, America been financing them and Israel. So it's all a bit of a mess now, isn't it? Because I don't think that that Netanyahu was expecting the rebuff that he has gotten from these countries. He expected more support, and America is not supporting them, a lot of them. They're very much against. They've got these Palestinian marches and all that. And it seems by the day, countries are sort of standing back. We don't want to know. We don't want to know. And the big ones, they've put these sanctions onto them. So it's not looking too good for Netanyahu, I tell you, and Israel, the whole of Israel.
Tell me, who is the leader of the opposition in Israel?
The leader, the president, the prime minister.
The leader of opposition to Netanyahu.
To Netanyahu, I don't know. That I don't know. I know Herzog, the president, has been over here doing a couple of chat shows, and he's not doing too well either, I can tell you. Not doing too well at all. But the fact that now there is this hatred for Israel is very, very frightening. Very frightening, because you don't expect your leader to lead you under a bus, do you?
Yeah.
So to be continued.
Yes.
But he has no intention of stopping this war, even if he has a ceasefire. They will boom zoom in then and take total.
I mean, the reason I ask you about the leader of the opposition is I'm surprised that he hasn't actually raised his head above the parapet and actually sort of.
There's no news from anyone,
yeah.
Keith. No news from anyone.
Mm.
Well, if he's shouting on his own because they're not giving him any attention.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
I couldn't find anything of that nature. So it's oh dear, so sad and so dreadful and so awful that human beings are still acting like this. You know, it's just dreadful. And seeing this business, they turn off the gas, they turn off the electricity and the whole bit, and send a few trucks in with it, and they're queuing up for survival stuff over there. And then they had to take these little babies who were on incubators out, little premature ones with their little hats on, and there's lots of them, and they were going to die, darling. How can the human race do this?
Yeah.
How can we be so? What is the word? Find a word for me, Keith, because I can't find one.
Well, it's. I don't think that it's creating the circumstances under which such evils can take place. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think there is one word for it.
No, there can't be. It's foolish, really, to ask for one. Then you see, it's if you want to find out who started 9/11, read David Icke's book called The Trigger. He says everything, darling. I'm not going to tell you. He'll tell you. Yeah. So it goes back a long way, Keith. A long, long way where Israel is concerned. And it was all orchestrated so that Tony Blair could take us into Iraq that time,
Yes.
And then take us into the other countries. And this, I fear, is a follow-up of that.
This is a consequence of it, you mean?
Conscript of it, yes. And it'll settle down. They'll take over Damascus, of course they will. And Tony, what's his name, the guy? Oh, God, my memory is going. Who's the favorite there? Donald Trump. Donald Trump will most probably get in and take over for another 4 years where he'll calm things down. And that gives this dreadful lot, this New World Order lot, time. They need that 4 years. See, that will come up 2030, the way they said, to have all these other things, New World Order people in place. Am I explaining myself?
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Because these things take forever too, and then now.
The only query there is, when you say Donald Trump will calm things down, is that I would be skeptical about.
Well, he'll do a few things that he said he's going to do. A new broom sweeps clean, and he's new again, and that will give them time, Klaus Schwab and this New World Order mob, to become more active, because he's not going to stop them, I promise you. It's only the people that are going to stop them. It's the people that get things done, not governments. Yeah, people. And we have to, it's imperative that we keep informing ourselves every day as to what is going on. You cannot be lazy. I beg of you, you cannot dig your head in the sand and say, no, I can't deal with this. No, because eventually you will have to deal with it and you won't like it at all, I promise you. No, you can't do that under any circumstances. You can't say, oh, no, this is making me ill and I can't do it. No, pull yourself together and get educated. The education is out there and you can find it. But it's swiftly being taken away from us, very, very swiftly, because our internet is being severely a channel to where we can't see certain things, the same as they did in Israel, the same as they do in America. They don't want to educate the people to know what is going on and what they are going to do.
No, I must confess is that that is the tactic of a good many leaders is to keep the electorate in wonder about what on earth is going on.
Yeah. Yes, and I mean all this
I'll keep them in ignorance.
Keep them in ignorance and changing the rules all the time. Black is black and white is white. That doesn't happen anymore. It's all introverted stuff to keep people in a mind of flux. And they're starting very, very strongly with the little children. Do you want to be a boy or do you want to be a girl? It's to keep them confused.
Yeah.
Totally and utterly confused. So then the next generation, this generation that is growing up, is easily told what to do. You can, these masks that they put on people's faces, used to do that years ago. It makes them subservient.
Yeah.
And a person who's brain dead is easy to control. Totally. Which is what they were, these 5G pilots that they're putting up all over the place. And all the magic chip, so they can join us up there and get inside the brain, which is very easy with the electronic stuff that they're so advanced in today. We've got to be aware of this. We must, and only when we educate ourselves can we do something about it. Force of numbers in Israel made this geezer get those people out, didn't it? Force of numbers.
I totally agree with you that the only way you can make an informed decision is by knowing all the facts. Yes,
certainly. Yeah,
we do tend to hide those things that we don't like to hear.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, I have a very, very dear friend in Poland. Who lives with his mother, and they have some lady friends, that seem to want to try and do something for the world situation. They asked them to see this film about the abduction of children that go missing every year, millions of children. These people have made a film of it. And it's not on general release now, but it is released in certain countries. My friend happened to get a copy of this and showed them this film, and they said, yes, we don't want to see anymore, and we don't want anything to do with it. I mean, how can you say that?
Yeah.
No, it's too much for us. No, we don't want dealings with that.
Yeah, that's no reason to. That's no reason to push out knowledge that you don't like. It may be that after examining it, you might discount it, but not listening to it and just making a basic assumption to start off with. That's no way to come to an informed conclusion.
And this is what a hell of a lot of people are doing. They just can't take it. They don't believe it. They do believe it, but they'll say, no, if I don't believe it, then I don't have to do anything about it. Right. That's always a good one, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, I don't believe you. I'm off. They dismiss you, without saying, hey, tell me more about this,
Yes.
Okay,
now we've had a good 30 minutes on Hamas and Israel. What's happening closer to home?
Happening closer to home, the Freemasons are chipping children, but it's only for their own good. Yeah. Yes, closer to home, darling. Yes. The UK government has quietly passed a bill that can force the British people to have smart meters fitted in their homes. This will be fitted to washing machines, ovens, fires, everything electric, everything that can be turned off at any time they want to. Refuse this and you will have to pay £15,000 fine. All this stuff is made in China. They are obeying Klaus Schwab. Why are we standing for this? Why don't we say no? I mean, why? Yes, internet. Cult-owned UK Parliament has undermined the privacy, security, and freedom of all internet users in the UK. The UK Parliament has passed the Online Safety Bill called OSB, which says it will make UK the safest place in the world to be online. In reality, the OSB will lead to a much more censored lockdown internet for British users. The bill could empower the government to undermine not just the privacy and security of the UK residents, but internet users worldwide. A clause of the bill allows Ofcom, the British telecom regulator, who Tony Blair started up, to serve a notice requiring tech companies to scan their users, all of them, for child abuse content. Yeah. This effect even messages the files that are and the files that end to end encryptions. In other words, build a backdoor. Yeah. These types of client-side scanning systems amount to bugs in our pockets, and a group of leading computer security experts have reached the same conclusion as EFF. They undermine privacy and security for everyone. That's why EFF has strongly opposed the OSB for years. It is a basic human right to have a private conversation. This is even more important for the most vulnerable people. If the UK uses this new power to scan people's data, lawmakers will damage the security people need to protect themselves from harassers, data thieves, authoritarian governments. That'll do. And other, paradoxically, UK lawmakers have created these new risks in the name of online safety.
Yes, well, I'm very suspicious of
terrible
online safety.
And they do this when there's a something going on, you know, something that monopolizes the papers so that it doesn't make the papers until it's been passed. Arrests in Britain today. A 16-year-old autistic girl with scoliosis was savagely arrested in Britain today because she said a policewoman looked like her lesbian grandmother. A young man arrested because he was thinking prayers within the vicinity of an abortion clinic. Thinking.
How did they know what he was thinking?
Oh, I think he was holding a Bible. So he said, I wasn't using this. He said, I was just holding it. Well, you were thinking about it. Yes. He said, what are you doing outside an abortion clinic?
I don't think that will hold up in the court of law, to be quite honest with you.
Well, they fined him 100 quid.
Yeah. But I bet you didn't go to court.
I think he did go to court.
Really?
I've got it down. I'll bring it in next week, and I'll tie it up with this.
I would have thought any magistrate or judge who found that a thought process was breaking the law would have his own position in danger.
Yeah, one would have thought.
If in fact it's one of those statutory things where it's like a parking fine.
Yes.
Then that's different. That's a different way we have to attack it. But I would have thought that if a judge actually fined him, in fact, if he came before a court, it's that one. I would like you to get the details on that.
I will get you the full details.
That's something that we can really have a go at.
Absolutely, because this thought crime is quite prevalent in America. I read that some weeks back, if you remember, police now have the right, if they don't like the look of the way you're dressed, or you're sauntering, not walking quick enough down, they can arrest you.
Wow.
Yes, and
Thank God I don't live in America.
And they can also say you were thinking bad thoughts. Yeah, I've got it all.
Yeah. I mean, that is frightening.
Well, we're a satellite of America, aren't we? So what happens over there comes over here. Conformity and docility. A person in a controlled situation is more controllable. What is better than a brain-damaged person? Than someone controlled vaccinations. AI replacing journalists by artificial intelligence. So won't you take away your journalists? See,
journalists. There, I know a little bit about that.
Yes,
it is a great fear, but the funny thing is that when these things start down a particular road, there are enough people of any given profession, and journalism is one of them, that fight back.
Yes,
and we are fighting back.
Well, I'm a journalist, and how can I fight back?
Well, doing what you're doing. The fact of the matter is you don't necessarily have to give into it, or allow your editors to give into it, and that is beginning to happen.
Really?
Well, I mean, anything new can be introduced as this is going to improve journalism, and then turn out not to. Yeah. And people can. I mean, there is still enough power in people grouping together on an issue that things can be put before. Yeah. I mean, one of the big problems is what we should never have allowed is that big money organizations were allowed to sort of take over the media. And as you know, at the moment, there is a big fight for the Daily Telegraph, which is under threat of being sold to Abu Dhabi, of all places. And there are those that say, oh, hang on, that would actually impugn freedom of the press. It has been eroded, but still, we can sit here and we can do what we do, yes, which is cut against the trend, if you like, and not go to prison.
Because throughout the pandemic, the BBC was financed by Bill Gates, and lots of newspapers were also financed by him too.
Well,
and still are, I'm
whether
sure.
That's true or not, I don't know, but.
Yes, it is.
Well,
yes, that is true.
I mean, I work for the BBC, and I would find, if that statement is correct, I would find it difficult to know how they managed to infiltrate the BBC with their money. The one thing that the BBC has done, been infiltrated by, is the left. It is left-wing organisation. That I will accept. But I don't know that it's subject to big business. Yeah, the way that some other media is.
They admitted he has been financing them for a long time. Who's admitted it? Of the BBC.
No, who's the BBC? Who from the BBC has admitted it?
I don't know.
Yeah, well, we need to know that before we take that as fact.
Well, yeah, I'll get you the facts.
Okay, yeah,
I'll get it.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, indeed.
Yeah, that one I would challenge. I do not defend the BBC. I think it's an awful organisation. But I do know a little bit about how it works inside. So and if somebody has managed to get around it, I want to know, because then if they can get around them, they can get around anybody. And I need, if they have, I really need to know, Liza. I'm not joking, because they will try it on us eventually.
Oh, of course.
Oh, I don't know what she's trying to get.
Conformity and docility. A person in a controlled situation is more controllable. What is better than a brain-damaged person? I've just read that. Yeah. AI. I think somebody wants to come in. Do you want to go and let them in?
Hang on. Yeah, you keep going, darling.
Okay. AI replacing journalists, artificial intelligence. Journalists are going to be replaced by AI. The truth vibrations. The BBC is in a threat and an insult of. The BBC is a threat and an insult to freedom. It's doing exactly what the cult wants. They are letting crime break down society. Canterbury, Ryan Schiavo, cop arrests preacher for reading the Bible. Outsider follow thing. Yeah, this is getting so massive. This cult is taking over the entire world. And it's all been planned for many, 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 many years. And so many people are involved in it. People of authority they give themselves the authority. They're not given it, they take the authority.
In this station, I'm chief cook and bottle washer.
Oh yeah, and you're dubbing for doorman too, are you?
Absolutely. That's what Harry said when you arrived. Is I'm here to sweep the brush. But in fact, it's a good way. It's a good way for very local television to be.
Well, listen, we're very lucky that we're still able to do this, and I hope that there's more and more of us that, have the energy to do what you and I do, Keith.
I think I have been saying to viewers, we are growing. We are growing in substance. Nobody anymore, well, not that we really had anyway, but the people who present for us and do the research for us and so on are people of substance. That doesn't necessarily mean to say that you agree with them or that we will just give out a party line. But when we put something out, as with Liza doing right now, she does it because she does extremely good research, and what she presents is factual. And we all do that on this station because, first of all, we're mature. Secondly, we're experienced. And thirdly, we're qualified. Yes, you're right that we are increasing in strength.
Yes, we've got to listen to David Icke on the weekend, and he's very hopeful, very hopeful. But he keeps saying, he's kind of waving in his flock. God bless him. God bless him. He's he gives us hope. Well, listen, he gives me hope. I tell you, I think he is the only hope that we've got. But we got to keep pushing. We cannot let up.
Well, there you are. I mean, you get the alternative view. The alternative view to the alternative view on this station. And it is just as legitimate as any other view. But what we cannot do is we cannot decide we will listen to those people and not those. And whereas, like David Icke, Liza may well be not welcome on other stations, on this station she is, because democracy and different points of view is very important to us. You cannot have people going around believing in just one thing, because you know what happens then? You don't have any dissident point of view.
Oh, it's very frightening.
Absolutely.
From a point of view. Right now they're doing what they like with us to almost an 80% degree, and that has got to stop because the worst is yet to come. I promise you, I really do. And back to David Icke, this is a man, 71-year-old man, who has been investigating the alternative view for 35 years. He works out of a one-bedroom flat on the Isle of Wight. And this man has been banned from 30 countries because they're petrified of him.
Yeah. But I mean, in fairness, Liza, I think we need to say, in pursuit of fairness, is that people who have said that they don't agree with David Icke do so with as much research and so on as he does. And that's what makes it such a good debatable point, is the fact that he was banned is an anathema. That should never, ever have happened. And it shouldn't happen unless people are actually actively advocating the overthrow of a government.
Yes.
That is all views must be presented. And all views must be put before you and other people so that we can make up our own minds, not be told what to think. And this business of that Liza has just raised in the States and to some extent here is some authorities say that they know what we're thinking is very frightening, to say the least.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Well, we've been on let's see, how long have we been going? We've been going 50 minutes now. So I think we'll say there's a lot to digest there. We'll say cheerio. We will be back. Let's see, it's Monday, isn't it? We'll be back on Wednesday morning with more from Mirador Television. And in the meantime, you can guarantee that Liza will have her nose in her research and that she'll have more alternative views to bring you next week.
Oh, I definitely will. And thank you so much for listening, watching in, and God bless you.
Say toodle pip, Liza.
Say toodle pip.
Okay, here we go, and we will say goodbye totally. I will say to you that the weather has cleared up a little bit. It was miserable when I first came in this morning, and it was cold, and it's not going to warm up today at all. But nonetheless, it's turning into not a bad day outside. So as we will leave you from the beer taps and the beer barrels of the Black Horse Pub until Wednesday morning. Toodles.
Bye.
From Lewis in the Black Horse Pub.